I'm Kate Brown, one of the hosts of The Art Angle, a podcast from ArtNet News. We're sharing a special preview of Previously Unknown, a podcast from our friends over at Independent New York. Previously Unknown reframes and reevaluates what we think we know about contemporary art. In this segment from the latest episode, ArtNet News Pro Editor Andrew Russell moderates a discussion with Independent Art Fair founder Elizabeth Dee, curatorial advisor Matthew Higgs, and artist Joel Messler. In 2019, Messler performed an act of radical generosity by painting portraits of visitors at the fair to benefit the not-for-profit gallery White Columns. Messler will return to Independent this year to restage the memorable presentation with a series of new portraits made on site in honor of the 15th anniversary of the art fair. Tune in to Previously Unknown on your favorite podcast forum.
So as I mentioned, we have a special guest. I believe we're going to phone him up, and he's going to lend some context to the history and talk about what he has planned for this year.
Hello.
Hey, Joel. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well,
thank you for calling.
Thank you for doing this. I'm joined here with Elizabeth Dee and Matthew Higgs. And for everyone listening, this is Joel Messler, the great lapsed art dealer, artist, painter, writer of Rental Gallery, Untitled, Foyer Messler, but now full-time artist. And he's here to talk about his upcoming project at Independent. But first we should say, and we've been talking about it a little bit, it's a kind of, what do you call it? A recurrence, a retrospective of an earlier piece. Can you take us back to 2019 when you first worked with Matthew on this?
Yeah, that was sort of like Act One. Matthew reached out to do this project, and my love of Matthew and White Columns and Independent, it made perfect sense to do this and to do the synergy of everything kind of coming together. And so I paint portraits. I say to all the people that sit for the portraits, I always give everybody a disclaimer that I'm not a very good painter and that I make everybody look like old specifically old Jewish men, because everyone has very large features and things like this. And I trying my best. The thing is, I'm actually trying to paint people's likenesses, and I'm trying to make a good painting. I just oftentimes fail at doing that. And so I thought, what a wonderful opportunity to do this at the Independent, and try to make these paintings. And so that was the first act, and try to make people happy with, kind of good intention, poor paintings of people. And it went off kind of successfully, I think, from my vantage point. Matthew, it seemed like it went well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think one of the things that, we were interested in is, I think it's one of the reasons as a not-for-profit we participate in art fairs, is that there's a very large, undefined audience. You're not really sure who these people are, who's coming through, or how they might engage with what you do. And I think that the idea to host your portrait painting studio for the 4 days of the fairs sort of lived up to the idea of the audience, who I think they had to pay for their paintings, right?
Yes, it was $250, which I kind of tried to figure out, like at that moment, the time, I guess, like what people would be willing to spend and what would kind of make it worth it. Like some of it went back to the institution, some went to, the labor and the materials and things like that. And again, I've done portraits, since then. And again, we're doing it again, Act Two. And it's like, the idea is it's always, it started at $250 and it's going to remain $250, forever and ever, because it's almost like this nice gesture, it's like, no matter what happens, artists, markets change and perceptions change, and maybe even the quality of the paintings change. But like, what will remain besides inflation is this cost of $250, and I don't know, there's something nice about it. And just to reference kind of what Matthew was saying, you don't know kind of like who is coming by and engaging in the project. And, I initially I was like, I'm going to be very open to this experience and everything like that. And it was amazing because, people would say like, will you paint my dog, or will you do this, or will you do this? And I just said yes to everybody. And that was part of, how I wanted to engage in this project. And, like maybe at the beginning I was like, oh, I can't believe I'm painting a dog, but I'm doing it for the right reasons and my intentions are good. And hey, it's, $250 and it's this, but you know what? I loved at the end of it, I'm like, you know what? I like that portrait of the dog, and it worked. And so, even I learned from the experiences, like all the experiences. So it was successful for me too, as an artist.
And how, Joel, did, in hindsight and obviously anticipating doing this again, the performative aspect, you were performing as an artist in public in the context of an art fair, but how does that line up with the kind of, I would imagine, more typical solitude of making your work in your studio like you are today?
Yeah, I mean, that's an amazing question. I think about that a lot because, I love the idea of like, where is the performance a little bit? And like, I love these moments where it's like, I am painting these portraits. And like you said, there's a performative aspect of it. And, of course I am performing but it's like, it's life performance, I'm just engaging with the world and people and dogs and things like that. And, like when I'm, making this new series of work and things like that. And, before I begin, it's like, it's almost like, I guess it's a different kind of performance, but I light incense and like Mr. Rogers, I changed my shoes and I changed my, shirt and I have some books I'm working on and I have to do the books before I start painting. And I guess it's just like a different ritual, but they're all kind of performances. It's just like, who's the audience, how many people are in the audience, who's watching, and how good is their performance, I guess,
I think
in the end.
And I think what the plan is this year, that you'll be painting for 2 days, the first 2 days of the fair.
Yes.
And that the resulting paintings will then be exhibited within the fair for the rest of the time. I'm curious, you thinking about your own practice and the legacy of your work as an artist in the future, what status might these paintings have? Would they ever appear in a retrospective of your work in 10, 15, 20 years' time?
Well, so I am actually having an exhibition at Levy Gorby Diane this summer, and I'm turning one of the painting areas, one of the exhibition painting spaces, into my office. And so I'm bringing like my furniture in, and I'm going to have my therapy sessions in there, and I'm going to have my like AA meetings in there. Well, anonymously, of course, I have the door closed, but I'm going to be conducting a lot of like my normal kind of activities in this office of mine. And what I was hoping to do is actually have some canvases around, and maybe not, because literally having, we announced these portraits, so many people are like, oh my God, I want a portrait. I don't know if I can make it and stuff like that. I was going to maybe have, canvases around and paint, because I do that in my office now in the Hamptons. And so if inspiration comes, and like, I'm going to have office hours in the gallery. And so, it's maybe going to not be as formal, but I will, like, if somebody comes by and they want to have a portrait and they have $250 on them, hey, like, if the inspiration's there, might do it, why not?
And I just had one other question for you, Joel, is that obviously you have a very long kind of history in the contemporary art world, having galleries in Los Angeles and subsequently New York, and a lot of that narrative is well documented. But I was just curious, we're talking about the Independent on its 15th anniversary. Do you have a general feeling towards art fairs, or more specifically to Independent? Or how now, from your perspective as an artist, what's your feeling about art fairs in general, or how they fit within the larger kind of ecology of the contemporary art world?
God, I love all your questions. I feel like we could, and which we always do, we talk, endlessly about this stuff. As a dealer, I loved art fairs, but I loved them, as a dealer, like the first day, especially like, the first few hours, because the engagement that you could have with so many people and kind of like the amount that you could communicate in such a kind of quick fire, rapid pace is like a dealer's dream. Like for that kind of dealer, the dealer I was, I wasn't maybe the greatest art historian in my dealer days. So, for me, it was like these really quick sound bites and, like how do you synopsis like, the best of like an artist's, intentions and about the work. And so I loved art fairs. Being an artist and, schmoozing people and walking around the fairs, it's like I definitely make myself scarce or don't even go to them. It's like, you don't really want to be seen so much. But I still love art fairs because it's just a place, where everyone kind of gathers and the dealers, you share information. And I don't know, it's like it's telephone, the game telephone, like on the greatest scale, it's a trade fair. Like what's better than that when you're in the trade?
Totally. And so I want to nail down some basic logistics. So it'll be 2 days this time. Last time, how many people did you paint? Do you know how many paintings ended up getting done?
I think we did count, Matthew, didn't we? We figured it out.
Was it around 80, or am I making that up?
Whoa.
Yeah. No, it was. And I mean, I literally, like, the first day I didn't pee, excuse my language, I didn't get up to go to the restroom for like 6 hours. My hands were cramping. It was an endurance.
It sounds like hard work, yeah.
I'll just point out to our listeners that the restroom was about 4 feet away from where Joel was painting.
It's true. Like all I was doing is drinking coffee, and yeah, there's something about it. There's like, I've always appreciated like Matthew Barney's like those performances. There's something about that being in that space and like, can I pull this off? And I'm doing it like I need to suffer a little bit, or I need to prove that I am worthy of this space, and that there is like, because I'm engaging in this kind of performative aspect, like that like there's something to gain, or I have to feel it. I have to feel this. This isn't just fun and games.
Suffering. You're suffering a little bit.
There's got to be a little suffering. So the fact that we're doing it 2 days, it's like from the moment the doors are unlocked till they're locked. I plan to. I don't think I'll be wearing a diaper, but like maybe
take
I
a
will.
bathroom break this time. Yeah.
Maybe. But if there's a line and people holding $250, maybe I'm just going to keep painting.
Nice.
Joel, is it first come, or can people sign up, or how does that work this time?
I'm going to let you handle that because I get to say I'm just the artist, Matthew.
So I think it'll just be first come like it was last time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think so.
And is it cash, check? Can I put down my credit card with white columns? How does it work?
I think Joel collects the money.
Oh, it's a very artist-forward approach. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. Charlie Lai, who's my assistant in this thing, we'll do, we have the swiper, on the phone.
Nice.
And, and then we settle at the end, But yeah, cash, credit card, I don't think we do checks.
Got it.
Because that's just...
No one can nowadays. You can't do it.
No, it's just, it's just confusing. So I think, yeah, and Apple, whatever those, different ways of getting paid are, and, or just, hugs and smiles too, if they're equal to $250.
And Joel, one last question for me is, if it's possible to generalize, what did people feel about their portraits? Or what did they say, or...
Well, for the most part, at the Independent, people were satisfied. I've definitely, since having done this, I've definitely had unsatisfied customers. that like would see them, and I literally warn them, and I would have disclaimers, and I do with everybody. And I've definitely had disclaimers. I mean, I've had, unsatisfied customers when I turn the painting around. They're like, oh my God, like this is the worst thing I've ever seen. I was like, I told you so. Like, I told you it was going to be bad. And they like, don't believe me. And what's funny is usually like, 'cause unless they're the first one, there are examples around. So I'm
Right.
like,
Buyer beware.
You're seeing my style. Like, I'm not going to all of a sudden be like a John Curran, like coming out of me. Like this is how I paint. So you kind of know what you're getting into. So, but pretty much everyone at the Independent, I felt was satisfied, although there was, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 people that ended up not picking up their paintings. And I think we're left collecting dust. So whether they forgot or just maybe didn't like them or just, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, the abandoned portraits. That's a little exhibition in itself.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, we're really looking forward to it, Joel, and we're thrilled that
I am too.
You can do it again, and for our listeners, it will be on the first 2 days of the Independent, and all of the information is at the Independent's website.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate being asked, and thank you guys so much.
And then Joel's also going to be the portraits will also be in the 15 by 15 show.
Oh, excellent.
So
Good.
as they get produced, Matthew will, arrange for them to be brought down and be placed within the group show.
Excellent. So there'll be many
Amazing.
venues to engage, and Levy, Gorvy, Diane coming up. But yeah,
Yes.
it sounds like come early for the Independent if you want the portrait sitting.
And bring your $250.
And yes, bring it. Wow. Well, Joel, thank you so much for doing this from the Hamptons and jumping on while you're mid work. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Joel.
Oh, thank you guys for
Thanks,
having
Joel.
me. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.